So here you go. This is Emily C., my new bestie.
I hate the idea that someone out there hates me. I even hate thinking that Al-Qaeda hates me. I think if they got to know me, they wouldn't hate me.
This stole the show. Emily C. was phenomenal.
There's something you need to know.
What?
You're doing great.
Look at my baby. Here she is. Emily. 10 out of 10. Huge fan.
I see Emily C says 123. I trust her. She's really good.
Listen, Turtle, you gotta watch your language. I'm already live. So you need to follow the FCC guidelines.
He destroyed, left nothing in her path. It was so good.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I am so grateful to Mizzy for being here with us. And I think this is such an important conversation that we're going to have tonight. Not just about Sandra Birchmore and learning more about her story, but also learning and celebrating all of the advocacy that has yielded so much for us to be able to know about Sandra's story and for there to really be progress made in getting justice for her. So I really appreciate you all being here, and I would like to welcome to the stage Mizzy. Did I do that? No, I did not. There you are.
Hi.
Welcome. How are you?
I almost said welcome.
Seriously, both of us are just technology superstars, so welcome.
How are you tonight?
I'm great. I'm all over the place, but that's normal. I am really, truly grateful to be able to have this opportunity to talk to you and for to be able to bring you to as many people as I can, because I think what you've been doing is really truly why we're here on earth, you're focused on what's important. And I appreciate that about you. And I'm glad to have this time to be able to celebrate you.
Can I say before we go on, you guys need to understand, if you weren't at Turtle Boy's thing that he had last year,
at the Wilbur,
young woman, and I'm saying young because I'm in my 50s, so I know you're not at home, stole the entire stage, the microphone, everything in that building. I almost fell off the balcony laughing because I was in the front row of the balcony and I was like, this girl's going to kill me. And then at the after party, I was like, I need to find this girl and tell her how amazing she was.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That was fun. In the end, it was fun. In the moment, I was shaking, sweating, panicking, I blacked out all of it. But now, this far removed, I appreciate that. I can get on board with that. So thank you. And actually, you know what? It's interesting that you bring up Turtle Boy, because I feel like part of what I was thinking about that I want to talk with you about tonight is we've seen one amazing example in Aiden of what it looks like to be an advocate for justice and to really make change and spread a message. But I think there are a ton of us that kind of look at the way that Aiden does things and are well, that's not my personality at all. I can't do I can't get up with a megaphone and shout a message from the rooftops. And so maybe advocacy isn't for me, but I feel like you are able to accomplish so much for Sandra Birchmore, but in a completely different style and in your own style. And I think that's just really good for people to be able to see that you are able to do that. I wanted to start by asking you just how you landed yourself here. How did you find out about Sandra Birchmore's story? And what compelled you to be in this position today, to be seeking justice for her?
Yeah. As people know, I'm also a small content creator, and after what happened with George Floyd and policing in this country, I'm disabled, so I can't be in the streets marching and doing what I would love to do. But I was trying to find a way for me to be an advocate, and in my situation where there are days when I can go out and hold a sign, but there's a lot of days that I can't. And I started interviewing people, people from different backgrounds about their experiences in life. And then I shifted. I wanted to show policing in a different way, how it affects people whose loved ones who have been murdered. And if the police are like how the Norfolk County MSP district, that office, district attorney's office, how they are, how it affects families that, they just want their loved ones' murder to be solved. So in September 2022, Stoughton released their internal report, and I was watching the news, and it came up on the news, and I was like screaming at my TV. I was like, just like my mind, just like every other sentence, my head just exploded. Like, how Melanie Little likes to say her head popped off and rolled down.
Yes, it rolled into it.
It took a while for me to find it. It was like, I was just like, what is going on? It wasn't one officer. It was like, what? There's twins. It was just like crazy. And then
there's twins. It's like, of course there's twins.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't there be? Their parents did a fantastic job.
Yeah. And then the story was in the news for 2 days, and everybody just kind of shrugged their shoulders and walked away. And I'm my bed's behind me. I would end my day, and I would end my day doom scrolling till 4 a.m. I'm a night owl anyway, so I go to bed about 2 a.m. But I'm 4 a.m, 5 a.m, trying to find anything, any articles, anything about Sandra. And there were a couple things here and there, but there was nothing. And then the first case I worked on for murder case is a guy named Brandon Embry out of North Carolina. And his mom messaged me, and this is end of March of 2023. And she goes, "What the hell is up with that Sandra Birchmore case?" And I was
and she's in North Carolina.
Yeah, I go, "How the hell do you know about this case? Nobody up here knows about it." I said, "I've been looking into it, but I had 2 other cases I was working on, and I used to edit stuff, and I'm a slow editor. So something it would take somebody a couple days or a day to do, it takes me a month to do." So she was like, "You're the
meticulous."
Well, it's that now. So I get migraines. So looking at the screen and all that was so. She's like, "Yeah, there was just a podcast released, and I interviewed with the guys from the Case podcast. They were possibly going to look into Brandon's case." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Let me go listen to it." So I went and listened to the podcast, and even before I listened to the first episode, she's like, "We need to look into this case." And I was like, "Hell yeah." And so her and I for a few weeks started looking into Sandra's case. We looked at little things, I did a virtual tour of her apartment building and found out that they had handles, not doorknobs. So we were finding all these little things that people need to know to understand why it makes no sense that what happened. And at some point we got to the point where she's like, "Ms., I got to get back to my son's case." And she's like, "Will you make a Facebook page?" And I took a deep breath, to be honest. I mean, I was in already, but I took a deep breath because I knew running the Facebook page would mean I wasn't going to be able to speak to any other families. But also the past 2 years, when did I interview her first? I think I interviewed her in 2021 about Brandon's
Okay.
case. So from 2021 to 2023, I was already doing it. You know, I was interviewing people, I was looking up information, I was doing some FOIAs. So I was already, it was like almost like the past cases were like practices for me.
Like leading you here.
Yes, yes. And she was like, she did it. She made a petition and I did the thing. And I reached out to every family member that I could see on Sandra. You could only see Sandra's photos and see who replied or who she tagged. I reached out to anybody who I could find in the photos. And I messaged everybody. It was like about 15, 20 people. And her cousin Barb is the only one who got back to me. And I think it was meant to be because, you know, she was just about to retire. You have me who's disabled. So it was like we both had the time in between my migraines or feeling crappy. I could post something on Facebook or X or TikTok or Instagram. So it was like, it was all stuff that we were doing when we could. And at the beginning, it was like just trying to get people to join our page, friends, family, whoever. Then Karen.
I was just about to say and then that wave came along and it's like, so at what point did Karen's case and Sandra's case kind of merge in the public? Like when did you feel that surge?
Well, early on, it was like me and Aiden were kind of almost equal. I made Sandra's Facebook page at the beginning of March. And obviously he has more of a following and stuff. So he was able to, like, when he tweeted something, I had like, you know, maybe 100 followers. When he tweeted something, he had thousands of followers. Yeah. So, you know, and he dropped his thing, I believe, in mid-April. So it was like, and it's kind of funny because he made a video of Sandra's case before that, not when the report dropped. And he was saying, oh, she unalived herself. And because that's what everybody thought. Yeah. And I was like, nope, no, she didn't. And then like, once he started working on Karen's case, he realized, oh, wait a minute. There's something wrong with Sandra's case too. And he quickly came around. And that was my thing. It was like, because Sandra's case and John's case, I like to say, it's kind of gross, but I like to say they have a lot of connective tissue. Yeah. Where they're kind of like, I don't want to say brother and sister, but cousins that live next door to each other, you know, and you know, I firmly believe if they didn't pull off Sandra's cover up, they wouldn't have thought that they could pull off John's cover up.
That is such an interest. So, okay, can we, for anybody who is like newer, I don't want to like rehash all the like early details. You guys can Google if you're on the side, but can we talk about the overlapping? Because I think a lot of people here probably know Karen's case, like, you know, an encyclopedia of knowledge at this point. Yeah. So can we talk about some of the like overlapping characters and what role they played in the cover up of Sandra's murder? And wait, also one more thing that I wanted to remember to say. I was listening to you and Barb today on Justice Served TV, and it was such a fantastic conversation. And I kept having this moment, like when you talk to somebody about John O'Keefe's death, and you have to like get to that point where you're like, we can't be talking about like, would a car have done this? Does that injury line up with this? Like, we're so far past that now. And it was like, I was like screaming, like, no, she didn't take her own life. It doesn't even matter if it was staged like this or this. And it's like, no, we're like, we moved on from that. Yeah. And it's like, we like, just for the chat to know, like, that is where we're starting this conversation. Like, we're not going to like rehash the early investigation. We're going to jump right into like, we know that she would not, impossible based on the evidence, take her own life. We know who did it, allegedly, apparently, whatever you're supposed to say, so that it's not illegal. But yeah, so back to my original. Okay, talk to us about John Fanning's role in this case.
Oh, okay. So John Fanning, and there's also another trooper that you guys might recognize. His name is Trooper Dunn. He is in Karen's case too. The way you can say it is like Trooper Dunn is Proctor, and Fanning is, I can never pronounce his name, Buchanan. Yuri. I usually just say Yuri.
Yuri doesn't even know how to spell his own first name, so we're fine.
He's the
okay.
Yuri.
I'm literally taking notes.
He's the supervisor.
Okay.
But when I spoke to him on the phone for about 40 minutes, he told me he was the lead investigator. So he looked at himself as the lead investigator. But when you look at it, it's kind of, they were partners in crime, just like Yuri and Proctor. You know, Dunn did a lot more of interviews than Fanning, but Fanning would step in when it's like the important interviews, like when they went to go interview Matthew Farwell at the school, you know,
in a car in a parking lot, right?
Yes, elementary school parking lot.
Can we talk for a second about the fact that the only interviews that I have seen a full transcript for from the Massachusetts State Police or any of these local police are when Yuri went to go investigate the rubber duckies. We got a full transcript of that interview.
Yeah.
That's the only interview. And they recorded Brian Walsh, but I think that was because it was the Cohasset police.
Yes, it was them who recorded it, not the Massachusetts State Police. I don't understand why they don't record their every interview should be recorded.
But only rubber ducks have been so far.
Yeah.
So not Matthew Farwell. That was just like in a car in a parking lot, like no video recording, no audio recording, just a short little report. Okay.
Yep.
So Fanning was there for that. Okay.
He actually came into for a second technically a quick interview when he had to drop off his phone.
Okay.
And that I sent you that photo, or
I have that.
That was part of the report that I thought would be interesting to put up. You know, he had to sign basically a release. And there's something that he writes in it that's really, really interesting.
So this is, I had my notes on that too. Now I just lost everything. Whoops. This is Fanning's report of the interview, which we can read through maybe after we talk about it. But then this is what you're talking about.
Yes.
Okay. And why can't I ever make anything? I made us bigger, not that. Okay. Talk to us about what this is. I, Matt Farwell, have been informed by Sergeant John Fanning of the Massachusetts State Police that I have the right to refuse to allow a search of my computer and or storage media without a search warrant. So blah, blah, blah. It's the iPhone 11. Is that what that says? And then he initials, and then it says related to the death of Sandra Birchmore, suicide.
It's weird that he wrote suicide in there. Like almost to make sure he had to say it's a suicide.
Like he added it after too.
Yeah. It's not like there's a line, you know, like up above where there's lines where you can write on. It's just something he wrote, you know, like as if he was writing it in the margin. It's weird.
That is very weird. And like, those are the kind of things where like, if you're a real police investigator that's there really trying to like gather the facts of what happened to this young woman, and then you're watching him, like you're kind of like, does he write with his right hand or his left hand? How does he hold a pen? Like, they're just like, I'm not a police officer, I'm not trained, but I'm picturing, like, if you're trying to solve a case, you want all the details.
Yeah.
And like, you would watch somebody write that down and then add in that extra detail and be like, oh, that's weird. Or did Fanning tell him to write that? And
everything that we found out, though, in the last filing, well, not the last filing, because there was something filed today from his defense, but in the prosecution's filing, I think it was last week,
yeah,
he was saying things to kind of put it out there. Oh, she was crazy, she committed suicide, so he was preempting that she was, she tried to do this before, all these crazy, she was crazy, all these things. And I think that was more of like, she committed suicide, right? That's how I take it. But it could be how you just said it. We don't know.
And like, either way, like, the thing that I keep going back to is that Farwell's name was on every report from like day one. Like, this wasn't a case where somebody was, somebody was found and people are like, oh my God, what happened to them? We have no idea. This is like a random person that we find out years later from DNA that there was no connection. Like, his name was all over every report from the very first report, and still, according to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, he faces no accountability from the Commonwealth. And to the point that the feds had to step in and be like, hey, are you guys going to like deal with this guy? Because we don't want him on the streets.
And I can give you some insight into some of the reports. A lot of friends and family were calling the Massachusetts State Police, telling them it's Matthew Farwell. He pushed her before. Friends were calling, but also those reports are not accurate. I can tell you specifically 2 reports that aren't accurate, because I interviewed 2 people who are witnesses in this case. They will take the stand most likely. One person reached out to me and said, hey, can I see my report? Because I want to see what they said. Well, she read the report and she came back to me and said, that's all there is? And I said, yeah. And she's like, that is not everything. She said that in the interview, they were trying to steer her towards mental health. They kept asking a lot of questions. Was she suicidal? How was she doing? How was her mental health? All these questions that pointed it towards, like somebody who might do that to themselves. And she's like giving them, this is this. And like, she mentioned Matthew, and, she did say, what, Sandra does have some mental health issues, but she was seeing a therapist. She was on medication. She had seen her therapist the Friday before. There were no issues. There was nothing her therapist saw to make her think that Sandra was suicidal. So, and then there's another report where when they went to the school, they interviewed the assistant principal and the principal at the same time. Why would you do that? And then they didn't put everything that was said in that report, because the assistant principal who was closer to Sandra, she's like, half of the stuff I said isn't even there. And she said, it's almost like I wasn't even in the interview. And she's actually in the Dateline episode, heavily in the Dateline episode.
Do you know from talking to them, like, I know we are not seeing recordings or video. Do you know if they're taking audio recordings during these interviews at all?
I know one witness that said her interview was recorded, and she's been
So I wonder
trying.
if they can request. Oh, go ahead. You were going to say
She's
this,
been
if they can
trying to
request
get
it.
that recording, and they're kind of like, "What recording? What are you talking about?"
Because that would be really kind of like a bombshell, not just for them to be able to say like, this is what I said, but
Yeah.
also to be like, this is what, like, now we're seeing what a report looks like, and we're hearing what an interview looks like, and they don't match up.
Yeah.
Like, what? Okay, first of all, with any time that the police try to use the like, oh, well, like Sandra had mental health issues, it's like, guys, I don't think this is like doing what you think it's doing, because any mental health issues that she might have been experiencing, I don't know. Maybe it's because you all groomed her and harassed her and assaulted her for years. So, like, I'm not quite sure that's the like defense you want to use
Yeah.
for yourself, or the accusation you want to use towards her, because you guys caused this.
I said exactly that to Fanning. I had a conversation with him in
Oh my God, I love
2023. I
this.
think it was 2020. I can't remember if it was late 2023 or early 2024, because I was checking through my phone. But I said he goes, well, we talked to her therapist. We went through all her therapy notes. And he said, oh, she was very secretive. There was stuff she wasn't even telling her therapist. Sandra would make up stuff. And she was like, I said, yeah, you know what happens when somebody's groomed? That's exactly what happens. They're secretive. They are made to be like that. I said, she is like that because of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's because of
And
them.
what did he say to you when you said that?
He's like, yes, I understand that because she was groomed, but you got to understand Sandra, how Sandra was too. And I'm not delusional about Sandra. I've seen a lot of stuff. She did have mental health issues. I do too. I have anxiety, depression, OCD, and ADHD. I think almost everybody nowadays. Yeah, everybody nowadays has like a little something. But it's like, you can't. I mean, like, this young woman, right before she joined the Explorers program, her grandfather died. The only real male figure in her life growing up at 12. Then she joined the program. And then in 2016, her mother passed away from a stroke. And then her grandmother passed away a month later. And they are the two most important people in her life.
Yeah.
And she had lost other family members in that time. And then 3 years later, she loses her aunt. And then her aunt, the aunt that's in charge of her will and stuff, she's the closest relative that Sandra had left. She has a lot of cousins, and she does have a lot of family. That's another thing that they tried to always portray. Sandra had a hard life. She had a single mom who had health issues, and Sandra sometimes had to help take care of her mom at a young age. But Sandra was loved. She had two grandparents that loved her. She had a mom who loved her. She had cousins, and her two aunts cared for her. So when people say that she wasn't loved, it bothers me.
And it's almost like there's this program that was designed for kids like her that had been going through a lot in their life and needed some trusted adults to be able to rely on and turn to and look up to, and to be cared for and nurtured and mentored by. And it's almost like the police officers at the Stoughton Police Explorers program took advantage of their position of power. And I think that they, like, everything that they want to use against her, it all stems back to them. It's like, she can't control the people that she's lost in her life. She can't control what like struggle she was going through, but what they can control is providing an environment where like kids walk in and we put that to the side and like we're all here and we're this like new family. And it's like they just really, I guess that what I think about is like how different her life could have been if the Police Explorers program was like what they built it to be and not what they turned it into.
Yeah, I mean, and also I want to add too, before I say the other part, Sandra was bullied a lot in school. So you had this child who entered this program and she just wanted to belong somewhere. And these men just took such advantage of her. And she is tiny. She was 4'10". And I mean, like when she started the program, she looks like she's like
10,
9.
Like baby.
Yeah. And Farwell is 6'4". It's
sick.
The size difference is insane. And the thing is, people don't understand about grooming is you are, you're basically you're walking down the street and towards the person you're going to be, and obviously everybody has things that happen to them in life that, informs who that person will turn out to be. But when you are groomed and it's like totally, it's like somebody bores into your mind and you are, you were supposed to take a right in life, but nope, you take a left and your life is totally changed.
Yeah, well, and that they kind of like tell you what you're supposed to think is important, like the things that they're trying to bring out in you, like, oh, if you do X, Y, and Z, like that's what people want you to be like. And they really kind of change who you are. I was just trying to pull up this picture. Hold on, because for anybody who hasn't seen this,
people don't understand. Sandra's mom thought she was sending her to the safest place she could. I mean, later on, she wrote Divine a letter saying, "Thank you so much for accepting my daughter." Yeah, that's what I think of when I see her.
Like that is a little baby. That is a tiny little, like, protect her. And like, there's one like baby. And the fact that like a 6'4" grown man could look at that sweet little baby angel and be like, I know, I got an idea. Like gross, sick, gross.
And people don't understand that. They also, do things. They put a mask on for the family too. And, Sandra's mom is like, oh, this police officer is going to, the library with my daughter and then bringing her home. He's taken an interest in her to mentor her, not to, abuse her. It's just like her story is so insane because it's like you have what happened to her when she was in the program and then like the craziness of Matthew Farwell, but then you have, his twin brother. So it's like almost like these little different stories that all like pile on this little young woman. And I'm surprised she didn't break from it. She was at the point in her life where she was getting ready to succeed. She was about to go to nursing school and, she was pregnant. She was so happy she was pregnant. And this monster came and took everything away from her.
Yeah. Okay, I have a question that I don't know if you have answered or can answer like publicly. And if you can't, just say no, or like I need to like learn what we're allowed to say. What do you think? Okay, so in my mind, there's like the Divine Farwell brothers, kind of like they know what's been going on because they're all kind of a part of it. What is what is the incentive for somebody like Fanning to not fully investigate this case, or just the Massachusetts State Police as a whole? Like, what is the incentive for them to cover this up? Well, or what is the motivation?
Trooper Fanning was a former Stoughton police officer, and he worked with Robert Divine, and he worked there when the Farwell twins were in the Stoughton Explorers program. So there's that.
Yep.
And Robert Devine was the former deputy chief before he got knocked down to a patrolman because he had another sex scandal. And, you know, the chiefs and the deputy chiefs, they work closely with, you know, the district attorney's office. And there's photos of, you know, Morrissey and Devine together. And so you have this person who was a higher up at one point, and it's just kind of like what happened over in Canton. You know, they were in the know, you know, they were the protected class, and they're also police officers, and police officers look out for themselves.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
It's funny, when I spoke to Fanning, I kept saying she was murdered. And he was like, no. Basically, to say it fastly, no, trust me, bro, she wasn't. She did this to herself. And I was like, no, I don't think she did. And I kept coming back around, like, you know, through our conversation, I would, you know, loop back. You guys need to investigate more. She didn't do this to herself. And he just kept saying, no, trust me. You know, I've seen a bunch of these kind of cases. She did this. And I was just like, no, she didn't. He's like, no.
And even at that point, I feel like a good police officer, even if they knew like 100% for sure, like this is what happened, like a different type of situation, I feel like they would ask questions in that. Like, what makes you think that? Why are you saying that? What about this? What about that? Did you, you know, consider this? Just to like double down and be like, no, like it's like this. It's like, oh, well,
we did have a robust back and forth. Like we were very cordial.
Were you in person or was it on the phone?
Voices. It's kind of funny. Aside from our conversation, I was thinking about it today because you know how Tully retired. I didn't know what Fanning looked like, and when I was talking to him, he looked like Tully, and I had never seen Tully. And when I saw a picture of Fanning, I was like, "That's weird. I never pictured him like that." And when I saw Tully, I was like, "That's who I thought Fanning in my head. That's the image I had in my head, almost exactly Tully." But he, you know, he was saying all the right things, saying, you know, we're still investigating the abuse part. We're looking into whether or not we can charge one of them. And he was shocked at how much I knew. Because he would say, you know, I said, oh, Matthew Farwell. And he, like, every time he said, he was kind of not being vague, but trying to not give me too much information. I would say, oh, this. And he was kind of, I think he was like, oh, she knows what's going on. I said, and I did tell him, I said, I'm doing my own investigation. And I think he was a little shocked.
You're like, I'm doing the only investigation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Me and the FBI, we're investigating.
And at that point, the FBI was on Sandra's case. You know, it's funny because we've always, you know, everybody's always gone back and forth of, did Sandra's case come first? Did Karen's case? You know, which case were they looking into? And we have some clues. I got to figure out exactly when the lawyer for Sandra's family went to the FBI to be like, listen, there's something here. This is insane. And then when the Stoughton report was released in the fall of 2022, they called the Stoughton Police Department and said, hey, can we have everything you have? And McNamara turned everything over. So as far as I remember, if I know right, people in the chat can probably, you know, tell me if I'm wrong. That's around when they started investigating Karen's case, I believe. I could be wrong.
I thought that so you said that's 2022 or 20 because
September 2022.
I was under the impression that nobody on Karen's team brought anything to, let's see, when Alan Jackson, are you saying September? Alan Jackson joined the team.
Wasn't it in August?
Yeah. So it does line up around the same time,
Yeah.
right?
And didn't the FBI ask, they asked, I don't know if they subpoenaed Karen's people or they might have, but they got the information they did the same thing that they did to Stoughton. They asked for everything they had. So
Yeah.
I think they might have started working on this case, Sandra's case and Karen's case, maybe at the same time. I don't know if there's anybody in the chat that knows anything differently. Well, they knew about Sandra's case because William was doing something nefarious. He was looking himself up in the CGIS system, and that's where you can look up cases from all over the country. You can look up federal cases, and I personally I believe he was trafficking her, allegedly, and he was looking. There's no reason for a police officer to look themselves up in this system unless they're doing something dirty. And he was also looking Sandra up.
Like Jen McCabe Googling herself the day after John's death.
Well, it was a little more in depth. It's the same system that Janelle looked up Jen McCabe's car. That system.
Mm-hmm.
That's the system he was Googling. He was looking himself up. And it's weird. 24 times. Why is a cop trying to pop his name 24 times? And he's bringing up Sandra.
Do we know what comes up when you Google it? When you search for it?
No. They just give the dates of what he did when he looked into it. I'm sure the FBI has all that. So there was some conversation with the FBI then, but I gotta listen to the interview with Steve Morello, that Sandra's family's lawyer. Again, he did an interview a few months ago, and he said he brought the case to them. But just because a lawyer brings a case to them doesn't mean they're going to look into it. So,
right. Or it doesn't mean that when they do look into it, that they're going to find anything worthwhile. Exactly. And they're, it could be, okay, yeah, we looked into that. Like, it's to the side now. So yeah, I feel like this is a good, start of the rabbit hole of making all of I hope that someday, there's enough of us kind of obsessed with all of this that I feel like the whole red string cork board of all the connections are eventually going to make sense to all of us. So another connection I wanted to ask about, crossover from Karen. What is the Mike Lank, Kevin Albert, Connor Keefe, little baby Keefey? In Karen's case, it's always Connor Keefe, he's brand new. He could never do anything wrong. So he was there, but you don't look at him. And it's okay.
So, 3 police officers went to Sandra's apartment to do a welfare check. 2 of them ended up finding her. They secured her apartment and then called Mike Lank, because Mike Lank was the supervisor sergeant on duty, and he came over to the apartment. I believe he called, MSP and told them that they had to come over, and then he went over to the apartment with Detective Jonathan McCourt, and he is related to the McCourt on the I believe it's his uncle who's on the select board, Canton select board. Of course. All connected. And they went and came in and took a look, and they secured the apartment, waited for MSP to come. And so Trooper Dunn, I believe Connor Keefe, the ones who are listed as Tufts and Clark in the Canton reports, but only Tufts and I believe Dunn are the ones that are listed. I just saw Barb in the chat. I believe they're the only ones who are listed in the actual Massachusetts State Police report. So that happened on the 4th when they found her body. Mike Lank was off on the 5th. And then on the 6th, I find this kind of bizarre. And yes, the Canton police can retrieve, take statements from people, collect evidence for the Massachusetts State Police. But I just found it was odd. So Mike Lank, Detective Kevin Albert, and Detective McCourt went to Sandra's apartment and they retrieved the video of her coming and going all day and the video of him coming and going. It makes no sense that they did that because the Massachusetts State Police were on their way there because they were going there before they went to go interview Farwell. So the three of them.
Wait, what date was this?
Huh?
What date was this?
The 6th. So it was
and they were already, and the MSP was already going to interview Farwell.
They were going to interview Farwell, yes. And but they went to the apartment. They were already on their way to the apartment building. To me, it's weird that Canton was even there because they said they were securing the video. But Fanning and Dunn and that might be when Connor Keefe was there. They were already on their way there. So to me, it makes no sense why. So they supposedly went into the apartment, and Canton police and Massachusetts State Police, the Canton police assisted the Massachusetts State Police investigating Sandra's apartment. Okay. And then they turned the apartment over to, that's the only 2 days they really were in her apartment. I don't know if MSP, there's nothing that says that they went there on Friday. But Canton was not there on Friday. So like you said, you have Lank, you have Albert. Very, very little. He isn't like totally in this, but he's on the weird day. He's on the day where it's weird that they're even there. I mean,
I feel like that's his character's role in all of this. It's like that's like what he gets cast as in all of these stories. It's like, I feel like you might have done something sketchier than we know about, and I'm just going off of vibes.
Yep.
And it's weird that you were there, and like it's weird that you were at CPD texting about interviewing witnesses in Karen's case, but like I can't prove that you did anything really wrong. Like that's his character.
Some people try to make more of a connection with him. And sure, is there could be a more connection? Yes, we all know there's crazy stuff in both of these cases. Yeah. And there's things that they need in both cases they did not do. And it's just, I've always found the three of them going there weird. Because I didn't understand why they didn't have, what is it? The crime scene unit of, CPAC to go there. Why weren't they the ones who went with them to there? It's just weird. I just find them being there weird. I talked to
so they secured the video that day.
Yes.
Like this is where like I think that digging into the corruption of all these cases for me is like where my kind of like mission lands, because if you like now the fact that you can't, like you guys were saying that the timestamp on the video is 14 minutes off. And it's like, well, do we know that they didn't edit it to try to make it like the fact that my head, like I feel like I need to question any piece of evidence that any police officer in my state puts out is not like what the system was designed for.
Yeah, I get that. One of the things that I got Fanning to admit to me, and to me it was crucial. This was before it was even, yes, Barb, it's 13. He was there for, I believe, 28 minutes. Barb, you can correct me if I'm wrong. It's what was I saying? Oh, I forgot what I was saying.
Sorry.
The fact that there are things that happen. Oh, I know what I was saying. I got Fanning to admit that her phone stopped moving before he left.
So that's what I wanted to ask you, because I hadn't heard that detail about the timestamp being off. And then I was like, does that cover the time? But it still is within that window of like her phone stops moving at 9:40 and he leaves at 9:45 or whatever the exact.
Yep. I believe 9:43. And so I when I talked to him, that was one of the things I wanted to, it was like my objective to find out. Was, did her phone stop moving before he left? And he said yes. And I went,
and then remember for a little while they were trying to put out a story like, oh, well, like she was so upset by the breakup that she couldn't even pick up her phone. And like anybody that knew her was like, that's the first thing she would do.
Yes.
Like Barb was like, she would call me. Like, no, that like even just thinking about like any 20 whatever year old, you know, like they're not ever so upset that they can't touch their phone. Like
that doesn't broken up before. This wasn't something new. They broke up multiple times, you know, and he had done it. The other thing I had said, why was he there? He could have broken up with her by text, by calling her, FaceTiming her, sending her an email, putting up a smoke screen, you know, a skywriting or anything like that. Why was he there? His wife was literally in the hospital getting ready to have a baby the next morning. There was a nor'easter. Canton got, I think it was 12 inches of snow that night. Why was he there? He was there because he had to physically be there. Because what he planned on doing, he had to physically touch her to do it. And like that is why I wanted to make sure that I got Fanning to admit that the phone stopped moving. And his words were, we think, I said, well, then what are we talking about here? I'm like, what? And I got really loud, and he was like, because I was like shocked that he actually told me. And he's like, we think she did it right after. I'm like, what? No. He thought he's like, yeah, we think she went and did it right after. I'm like, I said to him, I even told him part of my business, and I've been very open about this. When I was 13, I tried to unalive myself. I'm very open about it. You know, I'm glad it didn't, you know, like I didn't end up, you know, passing away. But so you can't, and that morning I just woke up and I was like, all right, let's do this. So somebody, you know, who has depression can, you know, go into kind of almost spontaneous. I said, but everything that was going on in her life didn't point towards that. You know, if she was going to do that, she would have done it when her mother and grandmother passed away.
Right.
If she's strong enough to get through that, even though it did affect her so much, if she's strong enough of a person to not just get her mother and her grandmother within a month, and she didn't do it then, I don't care what her mental illnesses are, she would have done it then.
Yeah. I feel like that's the piece that like they're kind of trying to argue like, oh, well, these are all the reasons that like she would have. And it's like, but she wouldn't have in that moment, on that day, in that manner, in that, like, it's not just enough to be like, she was, you know, having a hard time or whatever. It's like, it's more than, it's all the pieces, like none of it, just even can I pull up, and also I really appreciate, I'm just saying for saying this because we are so glad that you're still here and you were meant to be here, and I'm so glad
I'm here with you, because it's like the way Sandra's case goes, it's like we get this bomb drop and it's crazy for like 2 or 3 days and then it gets quiet. So it's like for me to be back on other shows telling people, you know, keeping stories alive, you know, the 3 shows, the episodes you did on Sandra, you know, the stuff that, you know, other shows are doing on Sandra. We appreciate it so much because we need to keep her name out there. And it's unusual that the victim is the one people talk about. They don't say Matthew Farwell. They say Sandra Birchmore.
I wanted to bring this up. So this is from that interview that we were talking about where Fanning interviewed Farwell in the at the Gibbons School parking lot. Also, why was he at the school? Like, I don't know why that didn't cross my mind until right this second. Like, this is not like, oh, he was like a school resource officer and he was like on break. Like, were you visiting a new victim? Like, why were you at the Gibbons school?
And also, it's not like he's a patrolman, because, you know, if he was a patrolman, some, you know, that might be a good place to sit. Do you pay for work?
Like Lucky asking Yannetti to meet in the parking lot that just happened to be Proctor's sister's school, and Proctor like had a panic attack about it. What a loser. But okay, so that's weird. They talk about Trooper, and this interview happened on February 6th. So this is like immediately following. On February 4th, they find Sandra's body, and February 6th, they're already doing this interview. I cannot stress that enough for everybody. The fact that he is still not facing charges from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is crazy. Because look, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, 2 days later.
And mind you, everyone, they had friends and family and coworkers calling them for 2 days saying it's her boyfriend. He's a Stoughton police officer. It's Matthew Farwell. It's Matthew Farwell. Oh, she was dating Matthew Farwell. She's pregnant with Matthew. For 2 days, they heard from friends and family. So at this point,
even still now, it's like 2 days in the grand scheme of things is not that much. If you're like, okay, we wanted to get our ducks in a row. Now, 2 days later, we're going to go and talk to him and we're going to arrest him. Now we're talking about, this is 5 years later, and he is still not facing any repercussions from. Okay, so it says Trooper Dunn was advised by multiple sources that the victim, Sandra, was possibly pregnant and that she said the father of the baby is Detective Matthew Farwell from the Stoughton Police Department. This interview was conducted in furtherance of this investigation. Okay. The part that I think is really important, if I don't want to like take the time to read all of this out loud, is down here where he says, Matt says that on the evening of Monday, February 1st, 2021, he went to Sandra's apartment in Canton. He said that he asked her if he could come by and she said no problem. Matt said that he intended on breaking everything off with Sandra. Matt said that he told Sandra that she was crazy and it was not his child. Like, he's not even trying to make himself sound innocent. Like,
yeah, it's just,
I told her she's crazy. He said, like, that is a fight. You're describing a fight.
Yeah.
Like, you're trying to make us think that you didn't do this, but you're literally telling us like, oh, we got in a big fight. He said that Sandra told him that he was a dick, because he is. That's putting it nicely. Matt said that he was straightforward in his conversation with her and told her that it was all over and he was blocking her from all forms of communication. Matt said that it was a pretty nasty argument, but they weren't too loud, which is just like a weird thing to add in, where it's like, I just like did it like, what?
Can we do something? I'm not sure how many men there are in your audience right now.
Probably like 4.
Okay, well, so that's fine. Oh, if the 4 people, because I don't have I'm not signed in, so I can't bring the chat up. The 4 men that are in the audience, put a 1 up if you think you would have been arrested on the 6th.
And it's like everybody's very worried about her cats right now. So that's how you know that this is Mitchell would have.
Her cats are very well taken care of. They're in a happy home.
Oh. Kelly said, "I'm manly enough." What? I love it. Yeah, this is like if you follow any amount of like true crime stories at all, it's like this has all the things. It's like you were having an argument, you were having an affair. I cannot call it that, but that's what they call it. She was pregnant with your child and you didn't want your wife to find out. Like, I don't even need to know that you were there to know that you did it. Like, I already know, based on the circumstances.
Yeah. Let me tell you guys about her apartment too. So,
Yes, please.
I went there with Microdots because we were working together.
Yes.
And we get off the elevator on her floor, and we turn. When you get out, there's like there's a area, and then like right in front of you, there's a maintenance room. And so and then if you turn left, there's a hallway, and there's all the apartments are right there. So we turn left, and we're like looking on the sign to figure out like where her apartment is. And we're like, what the fuck? Sorry, excuse me. We're just what is going on? And then like I just happened to turn around, and her apartment was behind us in the corner next to the maintenance room. So her door was here and the maintenance door was here. Whoops.
Yeah.
So it was like it was next to the maintenance door, but it was on the other wall. It was on the wall that's right next to you when you walk out of the elevator.
And she's like in the corner. Okay.
Away from all the other apartments. So even if she screamed and the apartment across from her, we believe was vacant because we talked to a woman who moved in right after Sandra was murdered. So where she was, if she screamed, people might not have heard her.
Well, and to add on to that, I feel like if they had an argument, people actually might have heard, because an argument is louder than what he did to her. Like an argument is louder than a murder. Like it just is. Like you don't know to scream until like it's already. But when you're in a fight and you're yelling and we're going back and forth and I'm mad at you and I'm throwing things, like a fight is loud. So the fact that he highlighted like, oh, well, like we had a fight, but it wasn't that loud. It's like, no, like you did something quietly that was very evil.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Use YouTube words.
Everything that I've learned from her about her, she was very feisty. She was spicy when she got pissed off, and she would have like gave him heck. So
yeah,
and especially at the point Sandra she was starting to say, I'm not taking your BS anymore.
That's what Barb was just saying in the chat. Yes.
Yes. I want to have a kid. I don't care if you're there. I would like you to be there, but F you, me and this baby are going to be together. I don't care about you. And she was starting to turn the tables on him. She wasn't telling anybody. Somebody told me that she told people in high school, and they didn't believe her because they thought she was making it up. And
they thought it was like, I have a boyfriend on vacation kind of thing.
Yeah. And so people were like, I met this girl and she was like, I feel so bad because she was telling the truth and we all thought she was lying.
Yeah.
And so if you're telling, she did tell friends about them. Like one of her friends who hung out with her up until 2019, they would ride around when she was doing Uber, and she would talk to them on the phone. She would message, and this friend is adamant that she was messaging with Divine. And she was like, why are you messing with that old man? You know, and she claims that there was one time, and I think it's in our report somewhere, but she was with one of the brothers. I don't know which one. And the other one was tracking her. So I have a feeling she was with William in a police car. And I think it was Matt, because Matt used to track her on her phone. She was like, if she shut off her location, he would get mad at her. If she got bad grades, he would get mad at her. He would discipline her with corporal punishment type deal stuff. If people have not read the FBI report, it's disgusting. But if you want to know how disgusting this man really is, I recommend people going to read the FBI report. It's on our website at justiceforsandrabirchmore.com. All our reports are there, or you can go to the Facebook page of the same name. But the FBI affidavit is enlightening. It's a pretty good long. It's a good it's a long report, but it's well documented, and there's a lot of text messages. You are going to want to take a shower after reading them, and he's just a vile, disgusting monster. That's why at standouts, when I do speeches, I call him a monster.
Yeah.
And I yelled at Morrissey's, building, and they were listening, that you left this disgusting monster on the streets for 3.5 years. And as people now know from that report that came out last week, he abused another girl while he was being investigated for Sandra's murder.
Yeah.
He drugged and sexually assaulted her. So
he already thought he was getting away with this and was like, okay, who's up next? That's probably why he was at the Gibbons school or whatever that school was just called.
You have to have he was sloppy with her murder, but you would you know what? I don't know if I walked in there and I would have been like, oh, she might have done this. But then you ask questions. Why? Wait a minute. She's sitting totally on the floor. This is the door handle. If she leaned forward to do the pressure part,
wouldn't the door handle go?
That's been my issue. Or how the door handle sticks out a little bit? It would have slid forward with her.
Yeah,
that's what I believe.
Yeah.
So that you would have, as a detective or even just a beat cop, you would have been like, wait a minute. She has scuffs on her nose. Hey, Glera, what's going on? She had scuffs on her nose. She had, they call it blunt force trauma of the buckle, an impression in her clavicle.
Yeah.
The buckle here, but the buckle was here behind her ear. How does that happen? Make that make sense, because the math ain't happen.
Yeah, so you guys get that there was an imprint from the buckle here, but then when the cops found her, that's not where the buckle was. So it's like
she had a necklace on. It was ripped off. It was
and
hanging.
they didn't even find that, right?
It was hanging. It's in their photos. That's the part that's insane. It was in the photos, and they didn't pay attention when they took her, and it fell, and a family member found it and turned it over to them. And that's the thing is, families shouldn't have to investigate, a loved one's murder.
Exactly.
Barb should not have to. This case is heavy. It's hard for me some days. But I'm slightly removed because I didn't know Sandra. I wasn't related to her. Barb sits in this story every single day,
right?
Because she wants so much for her cousin to get justice.
And then you don't get to grieve the way that you're supposed to be able to grieve. if this had been investigated the way that it was supposed to, she would be 5 years out now. She would have been able to kind of like see closure in a trial, and to have the investigation and the police part of the tragedy kind of closed, and then to be able to move on to like healing and growing and thinking about like what Sandra's legacy is going to be, and the way she's going to like keep her name alive in like celebration. And instead it's like she's forced to live in the gory details and the depressing, sad, like, because the police didn't do that for her, and they didn't like take on the burden that they're supposed to take on and take that off of her. It's really, it really is.
Go ahead, finish.
No.
I always like to say that the person is stuck.
Yeah.
They're stuck in the first, we have these stages of grief. They're stuck in that first part because they can't move to the next, part of grief, because they don't have answers, and they have this monster, I mean, nobody wants all this craziness about your family member to get out to the public. Nobody wants a dateline about their family member. Nobody wants these things to be happening, people doing podcasts and all this stuff. But because Massachusetts State Police and Michael Morrissey decide to bury, and the medical examiner, let's not leave her out, they decided to bury this case because they thought Sandra wasn't worth a damn. Well, she's worth a damn to me. She's worth a damn to people who were sitting in this audience, to you, and to a lot of people. They might have thought when they got rid of her, and I'm saying it kind of sternly, but when they got rid of this young woman, they were done. Yeah. And they didn't understand that the Boston Globe was not going to give up. The Boston Globe has been putting out a lot of articles. They're the one who broke the story. They didn't know that the Case podcast was going to come out, and they didn't know they were going to get me and Barb, and they didn't know that they were going to get sued by the family. They didn't know that they were going to deal with a loudmouth like I am.
And yes, I feel like anybody in Massachusetts should be worried about that, because they have proven that, okay, Sandra's life didn't mean anything to them, but like also John O'Keefe's life didn't mean anything to them. So this is not, we're not discriminating based on anything, gender, age, relationships. Like there is no, if you think that you're on the side of like, well, but they would care about me. No, they wouldn't. Because
if they don't care about their fellow officer. John O'Keefe was a police officer, and they didn't give a shit about John O'Keefe. Sorry.
No,
they did not care about him.
And it's like, and Sandra Birchmore was supposed to be like kind of their baby. Like she's in their program of like, she's their like little kid, and like they raised her basically like from the age of 13, and the fact that they didn't, like I was saying at the beginning when I started talking about her, like there is a level where you kind of understand like cops have each other's back, like, oh, I pulled you over for a speeding ticket, but like I'm gonna let this slide, that's like so and so's friend. Or like, let's take it a step further, like, oh, I pulled so and so over and they were driving drunk, and I just followed them home slowly and let them go without a breathalyzer, without a this, without a that. Like don't do it, but like I can understand why, when that's your buddy's friend, and you're letting it go. When you find out that one of your own is like a disgusting PDF file, whatever we're supposed to say on here, it's like, you know what? I don't have to have your back anymore. Like this is on you. Like you crossed the line where like I'm not the bad one for like prosecuting you to the full extent of the law, because like you shouldn't have done that. And like the fact that none of the police officers in this situation, and a whole bunch of them touched this case. And the fact that none of them were like, hey, you know what? Have we circled back to pressing charges on arresting anybody? No. Oh, we're just doing internal investigations and okay, he's out of a job. Okay.
And from watching, you said you watched the Justice Served interview today. It was funny because the doctor, if you watch it, when I say that she had a broken hyoid bone, her eyebrows went up so high. I told Barb, I was like, her eyebrows went up so high they were gonna fly off her face.
Yeah, because she knew that she was waiting for you to say that too. I felt like she was kind of like, okay, well, I would ask this and I would look for this and I would look, and then you guys put that out and it was like, she was like, oh, seriously?
It's funny because like I was like a little kid. Like I said earlier, I have ADHD, so I'm always like, that's why I have a habit, as you noticed, of interrupting. It's because it's like I gotta say it now, and I'm sitting there like, pick teacher, pick that. I know the answer. And Barb, if you look at it, Barb's laughing because I'm like, I was like, I give you this information because I knew, I don't know everything because I've never seen the autopsy report because it hasn't been released, but I do know like what they do have that's been released. I know, she had abrasions, she had the broken hyoid bone, she had the indentation, so I was just like, let me tell her.
And I remember them saying something like she didn't have like defensive wounds or something like that. And that was, or she didn't have his DNA under her fingernails or something like that. And it's like, look at the timestamps of him arriving and leaving. Like this was quick. This was not something. I mean, clearly also he like took advantage of her first because now we know like his semen was also in her. And it's like, this was not something where they were like, she's a little tiny baby. He's not struggling with her for a long time where he's trying to like, get the upper hand. Like this was very quick, and you're not going to get like, I know that, and I have no medical training, no police investigatory training whatsoever. So why are you saying in these reports all of these like ridiculous things that we know make no sense?
And people got to understand that he was into violence, so he would strangle her, and so for him to start strangling her, it wasn't a big, she wouldn't have been shocked.
Oh.
So her defenses were probably down. She probably thought that it was just, hey, normal play. This is what we do.
I didn't even realize that. Oh, I hate that. How did the medical examiner explain the broken hyoid bone as a?
We don't fully know because it hasn't been, released. But I don't understand myself. Like they said there were no defensive wounds or there were no signs of a struggle, but her nose, like you don't get a nose abrasion easily. Right. You have to be face down or pushed into a wall, some sort of something. It's not an easy place that it's easy to rub the skin off your nose, but you have to be doing something for that to happen. Something has to be happening.
Right.
And I don't know if the thing is, we don't know what Massachusetts State Police turned over to them, told her. And
I mean, we saw the way that Proctor was with Squirty Bello in Karen's case, and it was like, I felt like Squirty Bello was not like the, beacon of justice that like we would all have wanted her to be, but she did hold the line in like some of those emails that got released where she was like, hey, can you say all of that like random stuff that you were talking about the other day? Can you email that to me so I like have a paper trail? Like it doesn't feel like, and maybe we'll find out I'm wrong about this once we find out more, but like it doesn't even feel like this medical examiner was willing to like hold that line. Like, so you guys were saying today that when the FBI got involved,
Excuse me.
they approached the medical examiner who did the original autopsy, correct? And
Yeah, they had a meeting.
they basically like the FBI, you guys in the chat, like, so the FBI is standing there basically being like, hey, like, do your presentation and tell us like how you figured out this was a self checkout, whatever we're supposed to say on here, and prove it to us. And she was like, definitely, I will not budge on this whatsoever.
Yeah, the person that they hired to look at the Sandra's autopsy went with them. It was the FBI, a prosecutor, and Dr. Smock, Trooper Fanning, Trooper Dunn, the chief medical examiner, and the medical examiner. And they're like, hey, you know, she didn't do this to herself. They were just like, nope, we're not going to change it.
Like, imagine
and Morrissey has doubled down.
Yeah. And Morrissey also just seemed like he didn't even know what was going on, like in those emails where he was like, wait, you guys, like, what do you think about this? It's like, dude, where have you been?
And then there was that one where he was like, is this true? Like,
and then nobody responded to him. So then he's like forwarding it to other people being like, wait, is this true?
It's funny.
That was when Farwell was arrested.
Not in those emails, but there's a reporter who messaged me one time and she's like, yeah, I just got some stuff in FOIA, but just so you know, I did a standout there in August of 2023. And it was it ended up being a small standout, but that's perfectly fine. There was probably about 10 of us. And we wrote letters to Morrissey. I made a thing about Sandra. I printed them and I handed it to everybody, and everybody wrote a letter to Morrissey. And 3 of us went up into the office and brought it in. And they said Morrissey was on vacation, which I think was bullcrap, because it's the same week he filmed his hostage video. He filmed the hostage video later in the week, and you're not going to come home on like a Thursday or a Friday. You're gonna take the weekend too. And so he
was on vacation, like at Julie Albert's house, or whoever was directing the video.
So that office needs to be totally reworked. That's why, you know, Adam Deitch needs to get in. You know, I'm so happy that 2 of Sandra's cousins came out. They're not part of our group, but they are, you know, we're in contact with them. They're, you know, it's one of those cousins is the one who went to the Boston Globe early on saying, my cousin did not do this to herself. But, you know, I have been supporting him. I put it out there whenever I can to say I support him. And, you know, there'll be more to come with our group, you know, getting out there and saying stuff too.
I wanted to pull up, I liked, I have this over here. He had
that interview.
No, he had a nice kind of like statement about, just to where is everything? Just to show you guys. So he said today, so Sandra Birchmore's family. So like Mizzy was just saying, this is family, not Barb, and not from the Facebook group, but separate, right?
Yeah, 2 cousins.
2 cousins. Okay. Our family continues to live with the devastating loss of Sandra, a young woman whose life should never have been taken. We continue to grieve her loss and seek justice for her murder. From the beginning, the truth about Sandra's death was ignored. Despite clear warning signs and mounting evidence, state authorities ruled her death a, whatever we're supposed, self-delete. To this day, Sandra's death certificate still states that she died by that, despite overwhelming evidence that she was targeted, groomed, abused, and ultimately killed by someone she should have been able to trust. Nothing we can say or do can bring Sandra back. Beyond justice for Sandra, we share the goal of ensuring that nothing like this ever happens again to another young, vulnerable person. The Norfolk County District Attorney's Office failed to properly investigate and prosecute Sandra's death and failed to deliver justice when it mattered most. Without the investigation by the Stoughton Police Department, the intervention of the U.S. Attorney's Office and FBI, we have no faith that the truth about Sandra's murder would have ever been acknowledged. No family should have to fight this hard simply to have a loved one's death taken seriously. Sandra's case exposed deep failures that demand meaningful change in the district attorney's office. We believe that former Assistant U.S. Attorney Adam Deitch is uniquely prepared to deliver the fundamental change the office requires. Adam Deitch understands what went wrong, and he has the experience and independence to rebuild a DA's office the public can count on. For Sandra and for every family that depends on a fair and competent justice system, we are proud to support Adam Deitch for Norfolk County District Attorney.
Yeah.
I love it.
Me too. I'm so glad that came out.
And I think it is very important to point out that Greg Connor was in the office at the time in the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office. So voting for Greg Connor is just an extension of what has happened. It is the status quo.
Yep.
All systems are go. Keep up what you're doing. Great job.
If the public of Norfolk County wants things to be different from, what happened with the Karen Reed trials and what they're seeing, with Sandra's case, they really should take a hard look at Adam. He also will have get a push because of once Sandra's trial, Sandra's trial's in October, and that's the month before, so
point.
Her story is going to be on the news nonstop.
That's a great point, because I was getting a little bit disheartened thinking about like how a political machine like this really works and how it's like, I mean, we see how easy corruption is and we see how easy cover up is. And I feel like before I got involved in all of this, I kind of thought like it had to be like your best friend and like that, it had to be like your brother, your uncle, your cousin, like somebody that like you're covering up for them because like they're somebody that really matters to you. And now I'm realizing it's like all they need is like, oh yeah, like I sat with that guy at lunch that one summer in my internship back when I was 12. Like when there is corruption this deep, it really like it runs deep. And so it started to make me really nervous to think about the election and like the people that are going to back Greg Connor just because they're like, oh, like, I don't know, the status quo. And that is reassuring to think that like Sandra's case will be on the front cover of the Boston Globe at that time and will be like headlining the news. And
and the thing is that it's not just going to be, it's going to be negative, it's going to come, they're going to have to, it's, people think this is going to be a slam dunk case, and it's not. It is not. Yes, they have a lot of stuff to prove her case, but they also have the state medical examiner saying, nope, she unalived herself. They have the district attorney saying, nope, she did it to herself. And they have the Massachusetts State Police saying, it was all her. So they're going to have to, kind of like what Lally did with Proctor, where he made him just get up there and read all the text messages. Here. So they're going to have to do a lot of, well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do this? Did you know that this is happening and this and this and this and this? Or because if the prosecution doesn't put them on the stand, the defense is going to put them on the stand, and it's going to work in his favor. That's what scares me about this case. There's the state of Massachusetts is kind of messing over the prosecution, the federal prosecutors, by their actions. And, I hope it's something that they can overcome. The jury, once they get information, once they get through the openings, they are gonna they're gonna hate this man. They're gonna despise him. But just like Karen's case, there's gonna be things that creep in that will make them say, huh? And it's all because of the same people who did that to Karen and John.
You would think, though, that there is a certain, I mean, I guess all these people have no shame. So I take back what I'm about to say as I'm saying it. But you would think that there is a point where they would think it is so obvious that she didn't do this to herself. And the general public knows this. So I'm not going to get up, I guess, though, because it's going to be in federal court. So it's not going to be televised, right?
Nope.
So that might actually change things where they feel a little bit more comfortable making themselves look like absolute fools, because there's not going to be like clips all over YouTube and us dissecting it.
Yeah. But reporters, the public isn't allowed to have their phones in there, but reporters can have their phones and their laptops. So there is going to be, I'm sure there are people that everybody know who will show up as press for this trial. That's one of the things I'm stressing out about, because like I was like, Barbara, what are we going to do if we can't get in? I'm like, we have to be in there. So we're going to talk to somebody, and there's 5 of us that go all the time, like to every hearing.
Yeah.
So see if we can get a row, like please.
I have a feeling it's not going to be like that crazy because it's not well, actually, I don't know.
Oh, I think I've been hearing, like, there's so many people, and there's a lot of law tubers who might come. Like Andrea Burkhart said she might come. Runkle said she might come. So it's like
Andrea Burkhart's breakdown of the Divine hearings. What if anybody wants to do like a full, like this is like you're taking the college level like PhD credits when you watch her breakdown. It is, and Trial Channel did an amazing job of like cleaning up that ridiculous audio that was like all like so bad. It is 10 out of 10. You really, if you're still on the fence of like, I don't know, maybe these guys aren't that bad. Go watch that series.
Like you said, either Andrea Burkhart, so you can watch the breakdown of it. But if you want to watch it faster, the Trial Channel has it. And he's a vile person. He's vile, just like Matthew. He's vile.
And he has he's like such a narcissist. He doesn't even realize how like disgusting he sounds and how ridiculous he sounds. Amazing.
I hope after this trial is done, I don't know where we go with the the justice group. I don't know.
I was just going to ask you, like, is there a push towards any additional like charges for Divine or for Billy Farwell? I mean, I guess William. I guess he already got himself into some trouble in New Mexico.
So he's drinking a lot from that report, police report, and he's trashing his house, pushing his daughter to get out of the house. He's not doing good. He's not taking this well. I don't know where we go. Obviously I made a promise to Sandra. I was going to stick with this till the end. Depending on who gets elected, that'll make a difference. If Adam Deitch is elected, we gotta keep this train moving, because they could try Matthew Farwell with state charges, murder charges. So
They could wake up tomorrow morning and do that. And the fact that they're still not, it tells you so much.
Yeah. And how can you sit there? I would be so embarrassed if the news was in. Now the local news, whenever I'm interviewed, I go after Morrissey and Fanning. I like go after them mercilessly, and they never put it in. The last interview I did, they kept part of what I said in, and I was like, yes, because they need to start hitting that office. Go ask them why they haven't charged anyone.
Wait, here, go off right now and I'll clip this and we'll put it out as a little, we'll send it out. Go off. Let's hear it. What do you want to say to them?
Hold on. Let me get some water.
Yes.
The mainstream media in Massachusetts and beyond needs to start asking Michael Morrissey's office what the heck happened in this case and why they didn't charge Matthew Farwell. Why didn't the Massachusetts State Police take Sandra as a victim seriously? Why didn't they do their job? These are the questions that need to be asked. I ask them all the time, but I'm just a, small time, person on the internet. They have, they could be doing, so much work on this case that they're just not. They're not going after. I mean, Morrissey's retiring. You can go after him right now. It's not going to hurt you. But mainstream media, unfortunately, they want to be able to still interview police officers and interview DAs. And that's not how the news should work. You should be finding the truth. We need the media to find the truth. And it starts at Michael Morrissey's office.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other thing I always think about is when a DA's office and a police force are doing the right thing, they want to talk to the media about it. Like, think about a police department that just did like a whole investigation and they're so proud of themselves, and they schedule the press conference and they line up all the money and the guns and the drugs and the this, and they make it all cutesy, like a little Instagram post, and they're like, everybody come take pictures, like, oh, smile, like cheese, and they want to tell you everything. They're like, we have a new. So to the mainstream media, the fact that you're having to like beg these people to talk to you should tell you everything you need to know. If you, like you were just saying, like they want to still be able to talk to the DAs, they want to still be able to talk to the police. You have a hand in creating a DA that wants to talk to you when you don't let them get away with all this BS, because when you hold them accountable and you vote them out of office and you put somebody who's not corrupt into the office, they're going to want to talk to you. Like Advocacy is all over the place. Like you can find him interviewing with people all over the place and answering questions and this and that. And then Greg Connor is like, I'm just sending out some emails to my top 10 favorite donors, and that's that. And it is, if they want to talk to, if the reporters want somebody to talk to, a good person wants to talk to you. Make it happen.
And don't get me wrong, I am so thankful to people like you. I mean, like Blair was in the chat. I went on Blair's show a bunch of times. I called into his show a few times. The Young Jerks, LTL, the Baker. I went on his show. So many shows that I went on, and it was a collective that helped get this Sandra's story bigger. It helped, put her story out there, because the mainstream media, besides the Boston Globe, weren't doing anything. And then there's a few like the Enterprise in Brockton, I think it is. They've been covering our case a lot, and the news cameras do come to every hearing we have. But you got to do more than that. You're only covering the sensationalism of the trial. You're not doing what you should do. Go talk to Morrissey, and actually now go talk to Greg Connor, because he wants to be the DA. We need to know why and what he has planned. What does he have planned for Sandra Birchmore's case? Because we know Adam Deitch has a lot of plans for Sandra Birchmore's case.
I can't wait for the mental gymnastics that he's going to make us do to spin that he's very proud of the work that he's done in the office for 25 years and he wouldn't change a thing, but also he would change a lot once he's in the office. But he's not critical of Morrissey, but he is looking towards the future. And it's like, what's it going to be? Like, how are we going to swing this so that where you're the man for the future, but you're not the past, but also you want the voters that like you?
And I think he's going to have to explain why he didn't take Karen's case. And they had to spend $500,000 for a defense attorney, a mob defense attorney, to come in and try Karen. Why didn't the golden boy of the office take the case? Granted, I understand that he was working on Brian Walsh, case, but
working on it.
Karen's case in the first trial, they wouldn't have overlapped. I mean, not that I wanted him to take the case, because I'm glad Lally and in the end, if if he gets results, these guys didn't. But he's gonna have a lot to answer for. $500,000, $500,000 on this guy, and you didn't even convict her. Obviously, I didn't want Karen to be convicted, but $500,000. They got nothing. They got drunk driving.
Like, we were supposed to think that it was like cutesy of him that he didn't he didn't want to take the case. Like, he's such a good guy. And it's like, I would rather you just took the case and lost it rather than having to spend $1 million of my tax dollars to go hire Hank. Like, I don't think it's.
You took the case. Prove to us you're a better lawyer than these guys. Prove to us why you thought, Karen needed to be, sitting at the defense table. But they didn't. They gave 500. I mean, and then what they gave the what do they call the
aperture?
Yes. I
mean, just to do the same thing that Super Paul did.
It's almost $1 million of our. I mean, I don't live in Massachusetts, but I was born in Massachusetts. It makes me sick.
Yeah. I was, my husband was saying something where he was like, I'm just not that into politics. And I was like, this is my, and he was like, I'm just not that into politics. And I was like, well, politics is into you, because our tax dollars that could have gone to funding our son's educational programs at his school, to fund that pothole that you keep on driving over every time that we leave our house, anything that could have benefited our lives. Instead, this district attorney's office spent our tax dollars just to do something that they were already paying other people's salaries to do, but those people didn't want to do it. And I want that message to sink into all, because he's not the only one that's not that into politics. And it's well, if you're not that into politics, then we're going to be in this cycle forever. We're going to keep on getting the politicians that people are into politics elect, and those are the people that benefit from the status quo, and it's just going to keep going over and over and over.
I think that's one thing that Karen and Sandra's case in Canton, we learned it, in a small way, where they got rid of the DA, not the DA, the police chief. They have a new police chief, a new deputy chief from outside of the town. They have so many the select board is not the same select board at all. You know, there's two, I think 2 members that were there back then, and we all have to look into what our town's police are doing. What, you know, because this could happen in anybody's town. You know, what happened to Sandra or Karen and John.
Exactly. If you're a mainstream media person and you're wondering what questions to ask, this is a very good one from I'm Just Saying, who said Greg Connor said Karen Reed was, quote, overcharged. So why don't we ask Greg Connor, when you're bugging him, what do you think that she should have been charged with and why? And did you speak up and did you say anything? Or did you sit in the back of the courtroom when Lally was reading his opening statement off of the top of his noggin and have your little legal pad taking notes? Because that's what I saw.
Me too. I second that. I saw it too. What that office did, it's like they shouldn't have been. Obviously, you and I support Karen. We don't think she should have been tried in the first place. But if you're gonna try the woman, you know, at least put your best foot forward. You put 2 clowns to try to convict her. I mean, it's sad that Lally got more out of trying Karen than $500,000 did.
Yeah,
that's insane. You know, I mean, I'm so glad she didn't get convicted. I am so glad. I'm glad I got to support her. I'm glad I got to meet her and tell her, you know, and her family has been very supportive of me and the Justice for Sandra Birchmore group. And, but it's like, if a DA is going to do this to Karen, what are they going to do to other people? People need to start paying attention.
And I really want that to like sink in for everybody, because like we're not special. Like there is no world where you're like, well, my brother is no. Like John was a Boston police officer. There is no line that they're like, oh, well, like he's one of us. She's one of us. She's this. No, there just isn't there. And I think the fact that you ever even like, sure, they got the Brian Walsh case right.
Which that case kind of could be overturned on appeal because of the shenanigans they did with the phone. That's something that when they write
does get turned over, they should investigate his mom.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was going to say something. What I was going to say. One of the things that, you know, we say pin it on the girl. When I watch, hopefully I don't tear up. When I watched Karen, you know, finding out that she was found not guilty and, you know, you hear the applause outside, I started crying and I said, they didn't get to pin it on that girl either, because they tried to pin
I just got goosebumps.
Sandra's death on Sandra. They tried to say that she killed herself. And then they tried to say that Karen killed John. So they don't have a problem of pinning it on the girl, especially when the case involves other police officers that have some juice. Like Robert Devine, he was the former deputy chief. He knows a lot of people. Brian Albert, he knows a lot of people. So you have these 2 figures that are both kind of shady in general.
You think?
They know a lot of people. Like Devine got an award from the FBI like years and years ago, because there was some craziness going on in Stoughton. I don't know the whole story because I can only keep so much in my brain. But he helped the FBI get rid of the corruption in SPD in Stoughton, because he was doing. He was rid of them there. Yeah, look over there. So he got an award from the FBI. He trained with the FBI. So he knew a lot of people. He was from Canton. So he knows a lot of Canton people. So it's like
that is how connected you have to be protected. Like if you're thinking to yourself right now, like, no, they would investigate no. If you don't have that level of, if you did not get an award from the FBI for investigating corruption, if you weren't, I don't know what, Brian Alberts, if you weren't their bookie or their dealer or their whatever, and you don't have dirt on all of them, then it's not you. Like you are caring, you are Sandra, you are John O'Keefe. Like we are all at the mercy of these, the corruption.
And they don't care. They use their power to put pressure on people and to, like, I had an officer come after me. Me and my friends went to
I hate this.
Remember when Jill Daniels attacked Turtle Boy? Well, I just happened to be in town for that hearing. So my friend's like, you want to go? And I was like, yeah, I'll go. So we went to the hearing, and when we came out, the night before I was on LTL show, and I was going in on the Massachusetts State Police, like going in, and I think they got around. I mean, they probably knew who I was. So I know he knew. So a statey went around and parked his car around the other side of the building. And me and my friends, we got in my friend's SUV, and Peter Murphy was parked next to us, and he backed out and left. And then when he left, the statey pulled up, and he pulled up like it was almost like a T-bone, like he next to our car. And then all of a sudden he starts backing up. My friend didn't know she had like side alarms, and her car started beeping like beep, 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 beep. She's like, I didn't even know I had this, because it was a newer car. And he keeps coming, and my friend in the back yells, he's gonna hit us. And like I turned my head, and I just was able to get my phone out and like take 2 quick pictures of his car, because I wanted to get the license plate. And my friend laid on the horn, and he stopped. He was so close to us, we couldn't see his bumper anymore. Like he was probably a couple feet from the car.
Ugh.
And then like my friend was like shaken up, because she would have been the one that he hit, because she was the driver.
Right.
And so she needed to take a minute. So we sit there for like a minute or two. She's like, okay, I'm good. And she backs out of the space, and we pull forward to start leaving. And we're parked, like parallel, and we start driving, and he cuts. I see his lights flicker, his back lights flicker, and all of a sudden he cuts in front of us and starts going, and then he turns into the parking lot right there. Because we thought maybe he got a call and he had to go. No, he just turned and parked, got out of his car, and started walking towards the building.
Do you know which officer it was? Did you ever find out?
I tried to get information. They denied it. They denied my request. I did send it to the post commission. Didn't hear anything back from them. They're hard to get to. So it's like,
and I feel like the point is, it's actually not even one for an action like that. It's not even like, oh, who is the individual? It's like, this is the collective. Like that was the directive that day, was like, intimidate the people that are making it hard for us to get away with what we want to keep getting away with.
Yeah. And I'm the type of person, I just like, I have this level in some ways. Like I'm kind of 2 people. I have this, like, when it comes to certain things, I have no fear. So I wasn't afraid that he was going to hit my side of the car. I just don't want the person standing next to me to get hurt if an officer
Right.
pulls something like that again. And that's what I'm afraid of. Like,
And also it's like, what is the end goal, sir? Like, you're
Yeah.
gonna hit the car and then what? Like,
yeah.
really?
And
And then we're just gonna all talk about that too, and we're gonna talk about how like ridiculous it was that you did that too. Like, that's not gonna shut us up. Like, at this point,
no.
it's like this ship has sailed. Like,
Exactly. There's too
you
many
can't
of
put
us.
two-
There's too many of us in this community, and the community has changed a lot,
Mhm.
but we're all still here. And even though it's kind of been split, there's a lot of us who are in the middle. But even
Mhm.
though people have taken their sides, they're still, on their channels and in standouts and going to court. They're still standing up for people. We, as Alan Jackson said, we ain't got no quit. It's changed. It has changed.
Yeah.
But we're still doing it. You and I are having a conversation. You and I only met once last year. You know what I'm saying? So like,
Yeah.
it's like, it's cool that people, even though things have changed, people are still coming together and people are still talking about these issues, because once you see it, you cannot close your eyes, and
Right.
you have to
Well,
speak out.
actually, that's what I wanted to make sure to ask you. Is what can we tell people? Like, if people are like, I want to help, like Justice for Sandra Birchmore, where do you direct people? But do you have the website? Is there
website
somewhere?
The website, we have the justice, it's justiceforsandrabirchmore.com, the website. That's the best place to send people, because they can get our social media from there. If you're on Facebook, please join our page, because we're so close to 20,000 members.
Wow.
And we're probably going to hopefully hit this weekend. And then on X, it's just at Sandra Birchmore. I run that. And if you want to talk to me, that not on that account, at Mizzy 2974. I tend to stay on Sandra's, but I do go to mine too.
I'm gonna link them all in the description of this video when we
Awesome,
get
thank
off,
you.
so that people can just go click, click, click.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I want people to know like how much work it is for you guys, kind of like modding those pages and creating the content and sharing the information. And I'm sure you get your fair share of like nonsense from people. So I think it's really impressive what you guys have created with this movement and what you've taken on, just like in the name of doing what's right.
Yeah, and it's just Barb and I who run the page. Barb runs the website, and we both run the Facebook page together. And then I do the other social media like X, and I put not a lot of stuff, but I put stuff on my TikTok. And it's just us, and we're very strict. Like, we don't allow people to even say violent things towards like Farwell, because Sandra was violently murdered. We don't want to do the same thing. We're better than
That's
him.
such a good point. Yeah.
And so we're very, very strict on what we post. Like, we don't allow political stuff. We've been putting Adam Deitch stuff up, but like, we don't allow like Trump and Biden and all that stuff, because Democrat, Republican, because that causes fights. But we are going to start promoting Adam Deitch more and more.
Well, and I think Adam Deitch has done a really good job of kind of like distancing the position of district attorney from like the typical kind of like left-right politics.
Yeah.
Because he said like, this is an apolitical position. This is like the person who is the most qualified for the job. This is not and I agree with him to an extent in terms of this moment in this office. I do think like there are other DA races where it probably is more political, where it's like left-right politics would dictate who would be prosecuted and
Yeah.
how. That's not this moment in Norfolk
No.
County.
And
It's
the
not
good thing
about
him. Yeah, the good thing about him is he's coming from DOJ, and he worked on these cases, both Karen and Sandra. So he knows what evidence they have. So for him to come to Norfolk County with that in mind, and he just wants to go and clean up that office. It needs it.
Yeah.
It absolutely, they're very bad with domestic violence victims. Very bad. I mean, you think of it. If you have somebody who's a pig, like Proctor, handling, a rape case, or sorry, a assault case, or a woman being beaten case, you have this guy who's like talking like this about people. Who else is he saying?
He's keeping their pictures in his phone.
Yeah.
Like that's sick. That is this, like, why do you even want that? You are sick.
Yeah.
You're a sick man, and you're just
when I found out, like, when I believe it was Yannetti in one of the pretrial hearings, he said it. When I found out, my heart just sank, because I knew there were videos and photos and disgusting, vile stuff in Sandra's case, because William was making her take videos and photos of who she was sleeping with. That's another reason why I think he was, in my opinion, I feel he was allegedly trafficking Sandra. If you're introducing her to other men for intercourse, in trying to say it, because I don't make any money on my channel yet, and so I can say whatever I want. I'm trying to think the right way.
I don't know the code words, so
yeah,
just go for it.
I knew
I get
this
what you're
stuff
saying.
was on her in her case. I knew they had these photos and videos and pictures. How many of them saved it? How many of them have nude photos of Sandra on their phone? How many of them have the videos on their phone? It's disgusting.
Yeah. And the fact, and the answer to that question could very well be 0, but the fact that it even needs to cross our mind, the fact that they have this reputation of being so untrustworthy to the point of like being disgusting, to being the part of the problem, part of the like predatorial system, is the problem on its own. It's like they could all open their phones and be like, no, look, we don't have any of them. And it's like, no, the fact that the public thinks that you might is enough of a problem, because you've already proven that that's not beyond you, and that the district attorney's office that you work out of is okay with it, and you're on group text with your boss being like, well, still looking for some nudes. Like,
yeah, it's a breach of our trust in these people. I mean, not that we have trust in them anymore. It's like, and it's hard because, like, now, I mean, I was raised in a different way from most people. My dad said, don't trust the police. He's like, don't trust those MFers. But there are good ones, and you got to find the good ones. And if you need help, go to the police, but know that there's a lot of shady ones. So I walked into all this stuff with a different mentality than a lot of people. But we're taught that the police are good. We're taught the police are going to help us. We're taught that like TV shows are propaganda. All these, and I love watching cop shows, like all these TV, like Blue Bloods and all these kind of NCIS. I watch all these shows, and
Yeah.
it's propaganda because we know that Norfolk County could be anywhere because they're not the only cops that are doing this. You know, like I said at the beginning, I was interviewing families, and I believe I did like 9 families. I could be off on that. I might be thinking of my pre-interviews. Every case I took on had a, oh yeah, Boston's Finest. I watched it. It was entertaining.
How was it?
It
Jennifer
was
Penton
very
and
entertaining.
Ryan Albert's starring role.
Yeah. But it's like this isn't just it's happening in Norfolk County. Like
Right.
it happened to my friend. The Ellen Greenberg case. I don't know if you know that case. You know, they're saying she stabbed herself in the back of her head. Like there's
It's like they can't even come up with a good story. Like that.
It's like
At least Sandra, they tried a little bit to make the scene fit the story. Like, what are you talking about?
And medical examiners all over do crazy stuff. This isn't just this. We have an issue with our justice system. Our justice system isn't working for everybody. It works for some people, usually people who are wealthy, but it doesn't work for the little people. And we as a collective, you know, whether you're, you know, a Republican or Democrat, independent, we all need to come together, whether you're Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, any other persuasion. We need to come together and say enough is enough and fix our police system. There are a lot of good cops out there that just go to work every day to make sure nobody in their town, you know, gets hurt and to help people and, you know, to earn a living. And they just want to make it home too at the end of the day. But there are also a lot of shady MFers like Proctor.
Yeah.
You know, like Tully. I mean.
And I think that the idea that like we shouldn't have to be able to kind of like, oh, is Connor Keefe a good one or a bad one? I can't quite tell, because it's to me, it stems from the top, and this all goes back to like the election coming up and stuff. I think we're seeing that firsthand in the North Attleboro police right now with Kelsey's story, because we're seeing how much of an impact this Chief Gray has on the culture of the police department. And I really do think, like I said this a while ago, that I truly don't think that Proctor was somebody who was like going to be a problem the way that he is until it was kind of like the culture. And I mean, he's such a dweeb. Like texting no nudes so far is just like, oh, you're like a doofus. Like I knew you junior year in high school. I remember you sitting on the radiator, like trying to be cool. Like I'm skipping class right now, you guys. Like
I'm gonna text the boys and tell them there's no nudes. I'm looking, you know, to try to be cool.
Yes,
impress all his friends.
That is Michael Proctor. And if the culture of the department was like, it's cool to be a good cop here. Like the coolest people in our department are the ones that like put in the work to ask the questions and solve the crime. I really do think that Proctor would have been not great at it because he's not like the brightest, but he would have tried. And he wouldn't, if there was a boss that took their job seriously, he's not going to text them no nudes so far. And if that boss had a boss that cared, aka Michael Morrissey, and he did text no nudes so far, that boss would go to his boss and be like, hey, look at what my subordinate wrote. This is so unprofessional. I need to write him up.
Exactly.
And this is why it all goes back to the top. And it's like, we need people in the leadership roles that set the tone for the type of police force and district attorney's office that like we deserve.
Yeah. I think people think that they don't understand that they could fix things. Like take Canton. look at how everything was when, you know, around the first trial before it. Look how many people are gone. A lot of the bad people
Yeah.
are gone, you know.
Yeah.
And we just
Oh, too
finally
bad.
have to
So
tell
sad,
it.
Chris Albert.
Yeah. It's like, you know, people think that they can't change it. You have to look at your local officials and make sure they're doing what's right and they're good cops and good, you know, councilmen and or select board. You know, it's our responsibility to make sure, you know, that things are going right. And if you have to bring other people along, you got to do it. You got to get involved. And sometimes people are scared. I mean, look at how scared people were in Canton. People are still scared to speak out in Canton. You know, and it's hard for me because I've always been that, even as a little kid. I've always been somebody who was outspoken. I mean, when I was in school, I was a little shy because I was bullied. But it's like I've always been somebody who a fighter, and I couldn't, like Sandra, I could not sit and see what was happening in this case and not say anything because I felt like I was standing in a room with a bunch of people and people are just like, oh yeah, oh that's sad, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. Well, and we're all better off because you wouldn't stay quiet. So I'm glad that you have been speaking up the way that you have been and are not being deterred by the police officers that are trying to T-bone your friend's car and are making it. I mean, there's something about the story you told about Fanning, like admitting basically everything that they've known. That's almost like, the more I think about it, almost like him like slapping us all in the face of being like, yeah, we know that. Now what are you going to do about it? Like,
Yeah.
we have all the information you have and then some. We know the truth. And like, what, I dare you, like, what, now what?
That's one thing that drives me crazy about this case. People want to say, and yes, he didn't get the text messages off Farwell's phone, Garino. You know, they want to bring up Garino's name, but they had 50,000 text messages and information from Sandra's phone and computer. Fanning personally went through, because of the report, I think it's one of the things that I said to you. Fanning personally went through those text messages with Farwell that I told everybody, if you go read the affidavit from the FBI, it's a hard read, but they had those text messages at Morrissey's office. Mm-hmm. Why did they not take this case seriously? And the only thing we all can come up with is corruption, because it's mind-blowing that they didn't take on this case.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we can't let them get away with this. Yes. No. And this, I mean, Whitey's Ghost just said it so perfectly, that you really do prove that one person can make a difference.
Thank you. I appreciate that comment. And I've told people that they're like, oh, I'm afraid to speak that. I would love to get involved. I said, I was just somebody who has a relentless type of personality. Like I say it all the time. I'm almost glad that I have my health issues, because if I didn't, because like I don't drive, and I'm about an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes from Canton and Stoughton. I've been there every day. Like, oh, I get off at work at 5, let's go to Stoughton. And if I had been like that, I would be in the situation that TB is in. So I'm kind of, because I'm relentless like that. And Barb and I figured out how to do it online and then get partners to come to our standouts. before we head out, I don't know how much longer you want to be on. I want to announce.
I have like 5 more minutes till my eyes start glazing over because I'm very tired. But yes, tell us.
We are doing a standout on May. Was it 15? Let me look. I want to get the date right. We haven't fully announced it yet.
Okay.
I have the poster. It's just we had so much. Yes, the 16th. Sandra's birthday is May 13th. So on that following Saturday, May 16th, we are doing a standout in Stoughton. It's Stoughton Center. It's right across from the town hall, and there's plenty of place to stand. And even if we have like this cool place that we can stand, and if there too many people show up, there are corners that people can go stand on too. And we surround. We've had it happen a couple times. We kind of try to surround everybody so they're seeing the signs. It's the perfect place to do a standout because it's at a light, like a 5 or 6 stop light. So people are sitting there looking, beeping, waving.
Wait, hold on one sec. Keep talking.
And the community, interacts with us. So if you're in the area, please come down. It's from 12 to 3.
I'm ready. I was
and we do have some signs, but we ask if you can make a sign, make your own sign and bring it with you. But we do have some signs.
I'll make extra signs.
And we want to make a big showing because we take the winter off. It's hard for me to get down to that area. And
you don't even have to explain yourself. Like,
yeah, doing it in the winter, we're like, yeah, you know what, we're taking Christmas off.
This winter especially.
Yeah, yeah. We wouldn't have been. I planned, and Barb too, planned for, it was the first was on a Sunday. We were going to do a huge standout at Canton PD. The weather was supposed to be bad, so we had to move it to the following weekend. Moved it to the following weekend. The weather was bad, so it was like we had to cancel that. So that's why we want to make a big showing on Sandra's, for Sandra's birthday. We want to make sure the community still knows that we're there and we're not giving up and we're not going to stop saying Sandra's name till all these guys are in jail. Because you wouldn't want your friend or daughter or even your son to be in Sandra's situation, and it can happen to any child. You parents need to pay attention to the coaches and priests and pastors and people who are taking an extra interest in your child. If you can learn from Sandra's situation, please do. Please.
I think also
we all have hard lives.
That's such a good point too, that even if you feel like this, you wouldn't have been in Sandra's shoes, or you wouldn't have been affected by the police corruption or whatever. If somebody like Matthew Farwell and Robert Devine and anybody else are kind of like immediately looked at by the police and prosecuted and ridiculed by like society the way that they should be, it will deter future sickos like them. Exactly. And it makes our whole society safer. And for somebody who is like teetering between like, what is the path I'm about to go down in my life, and then they hear these stories about these sickos getting away with the things that like they wish they were doing, it gives them permission to make our whole society less safe. It creates like a whole new generation of trauma. It's no brotherhood for sickos. It's like right now they have this whole like fraternity of sickos that are like, ooh, like when you're in a fraternity and you see somebody else with your same letters and you're like, well, we don't know each other, but like we know each other. Like that's them right now.
That blue line is strong. But
it's like, it's not even that. It's the same thing like with this, with Sandra and Karen. Like it wasn't strong for Kelsey. Like she was one of them too. Or John. And it's like, we
But look at those cases, though. Those two cases specifically. The cop that was more important wasn't the dead cop on the lawn. It was the cop in the house. And the same with Kelsey. Kelsey wasn't important. It was the cop that shot her that was more important. They needed to protect him.
And that really proves to you that it's actually not even like it is the blue line if it's a choice between two people and one of them's a cop and one of them's not. But it's like even for the cops in the system, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like Connor Keefe, like I don't know that they're gonna have your back if something happened to you and it was between you and Tully. Like, do you think they're going to side with Connor? They're going to protect little baby Keefe on that one? I don't think so.
Nope. That's why I always say bad cops move up in the system and become bad detectives, bad supervisors. And like Robert Devine, he became the deputy chief of Stoughton. Let that sink in, people. He was a heartbeat away of becoming the chief of Stoughton. And then he
whined about it when he got it taken away. He was like, no, that's my office. What's that guy doing in my office?
It's like it was crazy. That was so crazy. Like the way he thought of it, like it's mine. What does he do with it's mine?
Sick.
Thank you guys. I appreciate all your comments. I can't see them up on the thing, but I'm seeing them the ones that are being posted here, and I appreciate
like I've gotten like used to it enough that I'm not like so distracted by it, but then I feel like I'm gonna miss people, and the chat has been just wonderful. You're gonna be able to, if you go back after and do the like chat, you'll be able to see the chat replay because you should see what everybody's been saying. But I really do think I have like 2 more minutes until I need to go to sleep. But I think what I really feel like you embody is this idea that like it might be scary, it might be daunting, it might be overwhelming to feel like you have something that you want to say and like you want to put yourself out there to say it. But then once you do, it's like it makes our whole society better, and it's not that scary, and it actually feels really good to finally like speak up and say something. And like I appreciate you saying that, like that it's kind of like fits in your personality, but I also think you were saying like you fit it into like what works for you. And so anybody listening who's like, well, I don't know if I can go to a standout, I don't know if I can do it. Well, then like make a Facebook post, join the Facebook group, like start there and just visit the website and like find out what's going on, because it really, every little thing, especially in something so local like this, like it really does make a difference. And like if you're into the national politics, I hate to break it to you, but like you actually have no impact whatsoever over anything that's happening in the White House or in Senate. Like as much as we want to pretend that you do and you could speak out and speak your mind, you
like
actually like have no impact.
That goes, whatever happens with that. But we can do local politics.
Like we can like really make a difference. Like you can truly shape the future of like the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office and steer it towards a more just and like fair office and system. And like what's the worst thing that happens? Like we find out what it looks like when there's somebody different in charge. Like you want to just see Greg Connor again and we'll just like watch him slowly morph into Michael Morrissey. Like that's not fun.
Exactly.
So like
Adam Deitch has a plan, and he wants to make sure that everybody, gets to be taken care of when a crime has been committed, not just because they know someone. And he said something similar to that. I don't want to just help the people who are in the know. He wants to help everyone.
Stay tuned. Okay, I need to go to bed, but we need to do this again.
Yes, I will definitely come and talk to you anytime.
And I'm just trying to make sure that I don't forget anything. I'm gonna put everything in the description of this video. I'm gonna go to the standout. I need to make sure I'm free that day, but I want to be there.
So if you want to come see myself and Emily and Barb,
join us.
Come join us. You can, and if you cannot stand, I have to sit. Sometimes we have 2 benches, and you can bring a chair. There's plenty of room if you need to sit. So come join us. If you have to sit the whole time in a lawn chair, we prefer you not have like one of those ones that you lay down. But come bring your lawn chair and hold the sign. Come join us.
You could make it if that's the only lawn chair you have. I feel like you could you could be like, your sign could be like, I'm Michael Morrissey, and it's just you like lounging. We could work with that. That's what you need to do. We'll work with you.
Yes. Come join us May 16th in Stoughton. I will be posting it, putting up
that's
the
what I was just gonna say
in a couple days.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm gonna log off when I say bye too, because I'm very tired. My child does not let me sleep. But you guys thank you so much for being here tonight and for supporting Mizzy in this. And Mizzy, thank you for leading the way. And I hope that we do a good job following along. And I hope you all have a great night.
Thank you. You know, the shows that I've seen you do about Sandra have been really good, entertaining, but also telling her story. So
that's what we're going for here. Good night. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.
If you need a place to breathe, some stress to just relieve, then come watch Emily see, where we keep it drama free. We want justice for John O'Keefe, Aiden and Kelsey, waved bye-bye to Morrissey. Let's clean up Norfolk County. Not today. And now it's time to say goodbye. But before we say goodnight, just keep on